we've all got to admit that we were wrong, right? We said the man couldn't do it. We said his temper would blow up the summit, but yesterday he proved everyone wrong and turned the nuclear summit in Singapore into a huge win for himself. So let's swallow our pride and give it up for a leader who's much smarter than we thought. Kim Jong-un, everybody. Give it up for Kim Jong-un.
That is Trevor Noah hosting The Daily Show this week, as he has for almost 3 years now. When Jon Stewart announced he would give up that Daily Show chair after 16 years, there was hot speculation about who might take over for him. Almost none of it included the name Trevor Noah. So when Noah was introduced as the next host, many Americans rushed to Google to find out who he was. There, they found the story of a popular South African comedian, born and raised under apartheid, and using comedy to rise from unimaginable circumstances to the heights of his business, now breaking through in a crowded late-night field. Trevor invited us to the Daily Show studio here in New York last week for a Sunday Sit-Down. 4 nights a week, Trevor Noah's job is to make the news funny.
Is a slave an immigrant?
Oh, hell no.
And I'm sorry.
I'm a human, and I'm sorry. Trump might have a secret kid? Oh, snap!
You know, presidents like storms have categories, and right now, this is a category 5.
Nearly 3 years after succeeding a comedy icon, the 34-year-old South African has found his voice in the age of Trump.
I broke up with you first. Would an unhealthy president be able to do this? Whee!
Distilling the day's flood of news with wit and charm before his audience goes to bed. Your process, you come in the morning, what does it look like?
The day starts with watching the news before you get in, and then it's trying to figure out what you're delving into. Are you speaking about Rudy Giuliani and his comments about Stormy Daniels, or are you talking about Malcolm Jenkins and the Philadelphia Eagles? All of these are ideas that we're trying to put together whilst also thinking about making the most entertaining show, because at the end of the day, if the Daily Show is not funny and entertaining, then I don't think I'm doing my job.
Covering a famously unpredictable president is not easy. These days, jokes often are written at a tweet's notice, just moments before the Daily Show tapes in front of a live audience.
I think Donald Trump is teaching us the very Buddhist philosophy of not being attached to anything. You know, why attach yourself to a story or an idea or anything that you've planned? Just live in the moment and appreciate what's happening to you.
Every late night show in one way or another is engaging Donald Trump. How do you set yourself apart in that landscape of late night where everyone's kind of talking about the same guy?
Well, I think the Daily Show thing specifically is how we process that information. I refuse to exist in a state of outrage. You know, I think at times people allow themselves to get outraged at everything Donald Trump does. But at some point, I'm just going to accept certain ideas and norms of him as a president. Doesn't mean that they're normal, but they're his. We're finding a space to try and dilute a little bit of that outrage that we may all feel living in this world, experiencing the same things.
How do you avoid the element, Trevor, of preaching to the choir? Because you know you have your audience sitting in here and watching you, who's waiting to hear what you're going to say, but by and large, they share your worldview.
It's funny that you say preaching to the choir, because I think of it just like any church would. They're always trying to get additional people to come in. And so I don't believe that we live in a binary world where there are people who agree with me and then people who don't agree with me. There's also people in the middle who are just like, I don't know, tell me what you think. And then when I do, they're like, oh, you're funny. I'll stick around for another episode.
Noah's poised style is markedly different than that of other comedians, some of whom have come under fire in recent weeks. Roseanne Barr recently tweeted a message that compared former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett to an ape. And former Daily Show correspondent Samantha Bee used an explicit word to refer to the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump. Do you think about a line? Are there things that are not okay to say?
Yeah, all the time.
You do?
All the time. I think comedy is context for me. Without context, comedy has no foothold. You know, we can work on being as precise as possible with our message and with what we're trying to say, because I don't want to offend anybody if I'm not trying to offend anybody.
So when you hear something like Sam B using the term she used about Ivanka Trump, what do you think?
She said she was trying to reclaim a word for women, and I understand that logic. What I didn't appreciate was people trying to create this equivalence between the two worlds. You know, I think a white woman calling a white woman a word is not the same as a white person comparing a black person to an ape. We have to acknowledge that the power dynamic and the history of that relationship between the groups of people also plays into that.
Part of Noah's appeal is that he approaches American politics as an outsider. In fact, it's something he's been his entire life. Born in Soweto, South Africa, to a black mother and a white father during the country's segregationist apartheid rule, Noah technically was born a crime, which also is the title of his best-selling memoir.
My father's name couldn't be on my birth certificate because then the jig would be up. I couldn't live with my mom legally because according to the laws of the country, my race wasn't one that matched hers.
But his devoted mother had big plans for her young son.
I would be lying if I didn't credit everything I am today to my mother. My mother said, yes, I'm being oppressed, but while I'm waiting for that oppression to end or while I'm fighting against it, I will also find ways to improve myself beyond the scope of what I've been told I can or cannot do. And so my mother forced me to see worlds that she never knew I may have access to. You know, my mother drove me to areas that were reserved for white people. She made me look at rich people's houses because you cannot dream or aspire to something if you don't know that it exists.
When did you feel like you began to thrive? When were you inspired to do comedy, to make people laugh?
I think I've always made people laugh. I knew how to make the bullies laugh, really important, because I realized very early on that bullies generally have a single-track mind. So if you can make them think about something other than beating you up, they can't multitask. So if they're laughing, they're not punching.
So what's the move? They come up to you with a closed fist?
Yeah, they'll come up,
with a
they'll come up
joke?
to you and be like, I want to punch you in the face. And I'll be like, oh, thank God, someone's going to fix this ugly face of mine. And the guy will be like, what? And it's just a moment.
Disarmed him.
Just a moment where a person has to think. And you go, like, guy goes like, all right, go away. You know, they almost look at you like you've been pre-bullied. Go away. You're good.
That sense of humor carried Noah into stand-up comedy, where in his 20s, he became one of South Africa's leading comedians and eventually took his act to the United States.
Mr. Trevor Noah. Trevor, thanks for joining us.
In 2014, Noah landed one of the most coveted gigs in comedy as a correspondent for The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. The following year, after just 3 Daily Show appearances, Noah was tapped to host the program when Stewart ended his run. The decision was a shock to many, including to Noah himself.
I was surprised because I was like, wait, what? It makes no sense.
And what did Jon say to you during the handoff?
He said, I see in you what I saw in myself when I started the show. And he said, and most importantly, you won't try and be me. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's good enough.
I love what you said in your first show.
I'm not going to lie. Growing up in the dusty streets of South Africa, I never dreamed that I would one day have, well, 2 things, really. An indoor toilet and a job as host of The Daily Show.
Did you ever get the toilet, by the way?
I got the toilet.
Okay,
I now have
good.
2 flushing toilets, my friend.
You have 2?
I don't mean to brag, but I have 2.
You've made it. You've officially made it.
I genuinely have.
Big shot with the 2 toilets there. The Daily Show airs weeknights on Comedy Central at 11:10 Central. Trevor's bestseller, Born a Crime, is extraordinary, and it's now available as an audiobook read by the author himself, and it's being made into a movie with Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o playing Trevor's mother. He's also doing good work back home in South Africa with the Trevor Noah Foundation, helping kids like he was with education and career guidance. To see more of our interview with Trevor, check out our web extras at today.com/Sunday. And to hear the entire unedited conversation, check out the Sunday Sitdown podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get them. There's a lot of good stuff in there with Trevor.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.